Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. And today, well, I will not be doing the program by myself, even though I'm the only one that you see here today. But Mike is supposed to be on his way to location Bravo, where he will be logging in and conversating and communicating with us. Hope you guys had a good weekend. I know that I had a pretty good weekend here in California. Weirdest thing, we just normally August is really, really hot here, right? And yet I think we broke a record in the month of July for a number of 100+ days. And then even going into August, we had a few, but not as many. But even then, it was mid 90s, high 90s. Well, I got to tell you, over the weekend, we just had like San Diego style weather. I mean, it was beautiful. It was sunny. It was not too windy, but it was like low 90s, high 80s. And we spent the better part of Sunday after church just kind of chilling in the back patio, just kind of hanging out, enjoying it while the grandkids were playing in their little pool and just had a good time. Anyway, it was a phenomenal weekend for all. And really leading into this upcoming weekend, which I'm sure is going to be interesting news-wise, because with the Democratic National Convention kicking off in Chicago, I think there's going to be a lot of news that's going to be coming out. You have Donald Trump, who's doing a swing state tour. So he's hitting the ground very, very hard in terms of his campaign. And I'm pretty sure you're going to hear him countering a lot of the stuff that we're going to be hearing at or seeing at the DNC. But it's all going to be good. It's all going to be fun stuff. I mean, if nothing else, this election is going to be entertaining. We're going to have a good time. I hope you'll have a good time with us. In any case, before we get into the program, let's do what we have got to do, and that is, starting off with, shout out to our sponsors. And we're going to start with Hitman Industries, the place to go if you are looking to rebarrel your current rifle or pistol. They have rifle and pistol length barrels available for you today. If you've recently purchased an AR, chances are you probably already have one of their barrels. So why not? Well, why not get another one? Just go to hitmanindustries.net. That's hitmanindustries.net. And if you are a first responder who has never purchased from them before, well, then guess what you get? You get a discount. Then you've got California Republican Assembly, referred to by Ronald Reagan as the conscience of the Republican Party. Folks, check them out today at cragop.org, working to help elect conservatives at all level of government, from president all the way up to all the way down to school board. Then we've got. Oh, why is it so hard for me to remember this? Then we've got Hog Holsters. That's HAWG Holsters. You'll find them at hogholsters.com. The best in concealed carry tactical holsters on the market. Make sure when you go there that you use a discount code, The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, and get your hog holster on discount today. And then finally, the place to go if you are looking for any type of outdoor gear, camping gear, cold weather, hot weather, wet weather, you name it, they've got all things tactical except the gun at uscombatgear.com. So check them out today. All you got to do is follow the link in the description to this program, and you can go to each one of their websites. If you like what you see, spend some money with them, and tell them that the guys over at The Rundown sent you. Yes, I did say the guys over at The Rundown, as our good friend, Mr. Mikey, has joined the program.
Great to see you, everybody.
It is very good to have you, sir. Very good to have you. How are things?
Very good, very good. We had to take care of a couple of computer issues, replug some stuff in, and apologize to all the folks out there for being 2 minutes late. So
that's okay, man. They put up with me. They tolerate me.
Yeah, yeah. I get the word tolerating you. I get that. Yeah.
In any case, how was your weekend, my friend?
Worked and did one of my favorite things yesterday, Sunday. There's a big movie theater here, and once a month they always run a classic movie, right?
Ooh.
And I realized, wow, I've never seen that movie in the movie theater before, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, this week's movie was this movie I've seen hundreds of times. You know, at home on deployment. It's one of the movies you can quote regularly, and I was like, I don't think I've ever seen it on a big screen. So loaded up the truck, took him out to brunch, then took him for a surprise movie. He said they've never seen it in a big screen before, and we walked in. We had a great time.
Cool. You gonna tell me what the movie was?
Oh, I'm sorry. Bring it on.
Ah, bring it on.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Missy, is it? Yeah. 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 Is it? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, never
Where's this girl from?
never saw that
Romania?
one in the theaters.
No, never did. Never did. Never saw it in theater.
Good
So it was
stuff.
time. Went and saw it in
Good
theaters.
stuff.
Good stuff.
Well, folks, there's a lot of stuff that's in the news. That's in the news today. It's going to be a chock full of stuff. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. The DNC is starting today, and wow, all I can say is wow, wow. It's kind of interesting because there's a tons of stuff that's going on there. First and foremost, has to do with. I mean, this is basically going to be a coronation. This is in terms of the breakdown and the makeup of who's going to be speaking tonight. The initial night, you've got the former president, or the current sitting president is going to be speaking tonight, and along with Hillary Clinton. And Mike, I gotta ask you. So, I mean, what are your thoughts? I mean, I gotta think that it's a bit of a slap in the face for the president to be speaking tonight instead of having a more prominent role in the convention.
I can't believe that he's going to be there at all. Really, I. That's how little they think of him. That's how little his own handlers think of him anymore. They're putting him out to pasture at this point. Get him on the first night. Get him out of the way. Maybe we'll knock the questions out. I want to see how doped up he is tonight. Is tonight a Thorazine night, or is it a Joe as he is night? So curiosity there. Yeah, it's you're right though. It's an insult putting him on early. He should be the last guy to speak. Presenting the future of the party, and that's just how screwed up they are. So I really don't plan on watching it. I don't know if you plan on watching it at all, Craig. I'm not even going to watch it, so we can talk about it tomorrow. I'll wait till I get the clips to see how it went. I'm not going to torture myself for 3 hours tonight for a 30-second piece of information that we need to watch.
Oh no, I'm definitely going to be looking at the highlights. I will probably not. I will not tune in live to watch the speeches, but as I am working throughout the day tomorrow, I will probably have some of the speeches playing in the background because I know I'm going to be asked for comment or commentary on some of the things.
Right.
But ultimately, what's going to be very interesting is that Kamala Harris is at the same time she is trying to distance herself from Joe Biden and Biden's policies, she is also trying to talk about the successes of the most consequential president of our lifetime.
Donald Trump?
No. I'm just using their terminology. And first of all, I just find the use of the word consequential to be incredibly diplomatic, because it doesn't say he was a good president. It just says he was consequential, meaning stuff happened because he was president. And when I say stuff, it doesn't necessarily mean good stuff.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It was not necessarily good stuff because there was no good stuff. So it's just
it was once again. It's funny how the end of last week, they did some campaigning together, or they appeared together, and they were talking about the how well the economy is supposedly going now that inflation is down to 2.9%. And I'm like, yeah, that's still almost 50% higher than it is supposed to be. Highest it's been. This rate is still higher than it's been in the last 10 years, minus, the Biden bump in the inflation rate. But I love how she's taking credit for reducing inflation that they caused.
Well, that's what they do, right? It's the same way they brought back the most jobs in the world, right? Remember, because they took away the most jobs with COVID. It's the you put so many people under control and say you're not allowed to leave your home for a year, people are going to lose their jobs. That's just how it happens. It's the
Exactly. Well, and it's going to get worse. And I'll tell you, as they launched her, they did their first policy initiative, and that was one of the things that I wanted to make sure to talk about today. Last week, Harris launched her first policy initiative, and it was all about the economy. It was all about how she is going to expand the economy. Now, what's interesting is that it's pretty much fallen flat. And the main aspects of what she's talking about is, number one, she wants to introduce what she calls anti-price gouging legislation, which basically means she wants to institute federal price controls. Now, the interesting thing about these price controls, well, I'll get into the details later. So anyway, she wants price controls. She also talked about creating a $6,000 per newborn tax credit, child tax credit per newborn, which once again is very interesting. I'm like, okay, well, where's the money going to come from this? But once again, I won't get into the details of that. Also, a down payment assistance for first-time home buyers of $25,000 is something else that she introduced. And the interesting thing about this is that she is being hit, Mike, on all sides. In fact, this piece here in Axios is noting that economists are pretty much panning Harrisnomics, is what they're referring to it. I call it Kamalanomics. But it says here, Kamala Harris, presidential candidate, has proved herself unafraid of chasing votes with populist policy promises. No tax on tips, money to buy houses that abandon an orthodox economics. Why it matters. Such policies tend to elicit eye rolls from economists who see them as counterproductive and say they push up prices and worsen the inflation problem they're attempting to address. And one guy here, this is a guy over at CNN. Let me pull this up real quick. This is what he had to say about Biden's plan.
What did you say?
Well, first thing I saw was a searing indictment of the conditions in the country. She was very effective at laying out just how hard hit the American people have been by the policies of the Biden-Harris agenda. I mean, inflation is the number one issue, food prices, housing costs, the housing shortage. All of that is absolutely true. And she and Joe Biden are in charge, and she has directly cast votes that have led to these conditions. So I don't know how she plans to separate herself from Joe Biden on this, because everything she talked about today, she has a direct hand in. The other thing that I picked up on today was this whole notion that price gouging, or gauging, as she called it, is what people are feeling. That is a total canard. This is not true. This is made up because they're trying to deflect attention from the actual inflation that has caused everything in your life to get more expensive. So they need the American people.
So, Mike, I'm listening to these proposals, and I'm thinking to myself the same thing that he's kind of saying. Number one, you're trying to deflect from the problem that you created, and then number two, you're basically saying you're just going to give people stuff.
Well, yeah, that's the Democrat way, right? I'm going to give you more money. I'm going to put money in your pockets. We're not going to fund it. We don't have a way to fund it. That's how we got in this particular predicament, right? That's why you need me to give you money, because you're so, you're so far from being stable that you need money for me to survive. So I'm going to give you money to survive, and then I'll just be more unstable, I guess. This is, it's ridiculous, Craig. With the no money or money for down payments on houses, I don't want to spend a lot of time with that one, but you remember what happened with the housing bubble when it burst? Well, that's what's going to happen, folks. If somebody comes along and gives you 25% to put down on a home because you don't have the value you don't have the ability to save that money, guess what's going to happen the first time you're late with a mortgage check? Goodbye. You're out. You didn't have the money to save for it because I didn't make sure you had this money in your bank account. Because if I made sure you had the money in your bank account, then it would have made sure you'd be able to pay your mortgage all year long. But if you don't have the money to put down for a mortgage payment, for a down payment, you don't have the money to put down for. You see how this works? Okay, you got no money to verify, and you're going to be late, and you're going to be gone. Taxes for tips, no taxes for tips. Where'd you hear this one before, Craig? Somebody else mentioned that one recently. Somebody else mentioned that before she did, and now she's locked onto it. By the way, when President Trump says no taxes for tips, the left has said, oh, it was going to be $125 billion disgrace to the country. When Kamala does it, like, oh my God, it's going to save the service industry. Let me give them both the facts real quick. No one claims tips. Okay, you might, maybe 10% of people that get tipped might claim 10% of their tips, so they don't get audited. But nobody's getting audited at 19 years old, working in as a service industry. Right? Nobody claims their tips, and if they do, it's this much.
Well, one of the things that Kamala Harris was responsible for was she was the deciding vote in the Inflation Reduction Act. That thing that didn't reduce inflation, but part of that was including additional regulations that would make it more likely that they would have to report those tips, because not so much report them. The way the regulations were working was they would take a look at what the order was that you took, assume what your tips were, and then tax you based on that.
Yeah.
So she introduced that, and now she's trying to say, well, we shouldn't tax that, right? Also, by the way, just so you know, J.D. Vance had talked about a child tax credit, but it was for every child, right? Not a newborn child, not encouraging people to have more babies. It was just a child tax credit, right? But what's funny about it, Mike, is when you add that to then the down payment assistance program, it's like you're flooding the market, you're flooding the economy with more money, right? You're doing the down payment assistance. All that's going to do is drive home prices up. And keep in mind, we have like a shortage of single family homes in this country, about 4.5 million homes. And so we've already got a shortage, which is what's causing prices to go up. But then you've also got the issue of, now that you're going to have these down payments out there, well, guess what? The cost of homes is going to continue to go up. But you're still not even addressing the core issue, the reason why people aren't buying homes. Number one, there's not enough of them. You're not doing anything to make it easier to build a home. And number two, interest rates. The reason why homes became unaffordable is because interest rates went through the roof. The problem that, you caused. It's just plain idiotic. And by the way, when asked how she's going to pay for it, Mike, check out her explanation.
You unveiled some economic policies last week.
Yeah.
Can you explain how you're going to pay for those? And can you give us a sense of what other policies you want to unveil going forward?
Sure. Well, you just look at it in terms of what we are talking about, for example, around children and the child tax credit and extending the EITC. It's at $6,000 for the first year of a child's life. The return on that investment in terms of what that will do and what it will pay for will be tremendous. We've seen it when we did it in the first year of our administration. We reduced child poverty by over 50%. So that's a lot of the work. And then what we're doing in terms of the tax credits, we know that there's a great return on that investment. And when we increase home ownership in America, what that means in terms of increasing the tax base, not to mention property tax base, what that does to fund schools, again, return on investment. I think it's a mistake for any person who talks about public policy to not critically evaluate how you measure the return on investment. When you are strengthening neighborhoods, strengthening communities, and in particular the economy of those communities, and investing in a broad-based economy, everybody benefits, and it pays for itself.
Is it just me, or was that answer devoid of an answer?
She started to go there, right? She started to go, well, you see, you get $6,000 from each child, and then in the end, your property values are more high. What? What? Greg, there was an old South Park episode, and I think I've used it before to define their policies. It was the underpants gnomes. If you remember the underpants gnomes, they had a three-step plan, Craig, for making money. And that was, number one, get underpants. Okay. Number 2. And number 3, profits. Their plans were very similar, Craig.
they are very similar.
They both
You know what?
identify the problem up front, and then the end state, and nothing in the middle at all. Just,
You know, Mike, I was gonna save this for one of the parting shots, but I just had to just. This is how bad her economic plan is, right? It was so bad that Trump turned it into a commercial.
A loaf of bread costs 50% more today than it did before the pandemic. Ground beef is up almost 50%.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
She went off and talked about all the stuff that they did. They
Yeah.
did. There should have been a sticker there with her going, "I did that."
yeah, yeah. but
Which,
she
by the
doesn't
way,
think that they did
just
it.
one thing I wanted to make sure to mention about this whole thing. So, you know how they're hitting on this idea of the reason why there's price gouging. The evidence is that we've seen massive corporate profits, right? The problem is that when you look at the most profitable companies, the top 5 or top 10, all of them are either technology companies like Alphabet, which owns Google, or Meta or Amazon, or they are financial companies like Chase, who, by the way, is making their money because increased interest rates means they can charge more interest, or so they're bringing in more money, right? Plus, more people are going into debt in order to afford Bidenomics. Or it was energy companies based outside of the United States. Nowhere in there were any agriculture companies. Nowhere in there were any grocery store chains. None of that. So what I'm trying to figure out is you're saying that these guys are making a whole bunch of money, so we're going to penalize these people over here who earned in 2023 a record low, 1.6% markup.
Right. That's you hear me tell the stories. They're same as you folks, or same as Craig does, folks. You hear us tell the stories of everything that's gone up, why they've gone up. Service industries has gone up twofold compared to everywhere else. And now you have this idiot. She wants to make like she's going by that party line where Trump created the pandemic. That was Trump's issue. Okay.
Right. Well, yeah, it is beyond ridiculous. And I think that if the rest of her policy rollouts go like this, then Trump needs to just do exactly what he just did. As she starts saying stuff, record it and put it out. This is what she said. I approve this. If you want that, vote for her. Otherwise, right. I approve this message.
Now, the article referred to her style of economics as what?
Harrisnomics.
Okay, and what did you call them?
Oh, Kamalanomics.
You guys are weird. I just call them straight old communism. I don't know
well,
why we're
there you
calling
go.
anything else.
When you start getting into price controls, yes, you are now talking communism, plain and simple. And once again, this is a person who said, look, in order to cut prices for prescription drugs, she would basically steal their patents. Now, I want you to think about that. A patent is property. It's owned. You steal the patent from a drug company, what you're telling them is, don't invest any money in research and development because we're just going to steal it from you. That's what they do in, communist China.
Yeah. What the hell is this, Russia?
Well, no, specifically, it's China. And there's a reason why I want to point out that it's China, because we got Mr. Walls, who is the gift that keeps on giving. This guy, they brought this guy on board so that he could relate to moderate Midwestern blue-collar workers. And dude is dude is being revealed as a straight-up communist. So there were two different things that I wanted to bring up, and I'll touch on both of them really kind of quickly. The first has to do with his praise of China, of Chinese, not just of China, but Chinese communism as a system where, quote, everyone shares. Now he was a social studies teacher. It says here, as a high school teacher in the 1990s, Democratic vice presidential candidate and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz appeared to extol life under Chinese communism, telling his students that it is a system in which, quote, everyone shares and gets free food and housing. It means that everyone is the same and everyone shares, Walz said during a lesson on China's communist system in November 1991. Quote, the doctor and the construction worker make the same. The Chinese government and the place they work for provide housing and 14 kilograms or 30 pounds of rice per month. They get food and housing. Walz's remarks were reported in a 1991 article in Nebraska's Alliance Times-Herald that focused on his work on student exchange programs in China. At the time, Walz was teaching social studies at a Nebraska high school. Now, once again, this is kind of a thing. This is kind of it's showing the story. This, by the way, is over at the Washington Free Beacon. And you can see here, this is kind of the front page of the story. But, I mean, my dude is just, first of all, if you are explaining communism and you are not referring to it as the system under which hundreds of millions of people have died in abject poverty or basically just killed by their communist dictator, you're not doing communism justice.
Yeah, absolutely right. He's putting out there communism. Let's be clear. These are communist policies that he wants to enact. And it's just straight up. The government owns you. The government owns your patents. The government owns the price controls. Everybody is equal. The doctor, the ditch digger. There's no incentives. It is, here's what you've been selected and picked to be. Go out and be it. Oh, and by the way, we have overcrowding now when we get elderly. So at 60, we're killing people, just so you know.
Well, exactly. And then, Mike, now on top of this, on top of promoting communism, he's also extolling and promoting and praising individuals who, well, let's just say, the fact that they are anti-Semitic just really doesn't do it justice. And this is a report, mind you, from the Washington Examiner.
When your mom's right, the world may not be fair, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't try and make it a little fair.
Under Governor Tim Walz, the state of Minnesota awarded over $2 million to an Islamic group that fundraises for a charity linked to an Al-Qaeda affiliate, according to funding records reviewed by the Washington Examiner. The Islamic Association of North America, the recipient of the state grants from 2019 to 2024, is fundraising after Hamas's October 7 attack on Israel in 2023 for Rahma Worldwide, a Michigan-based charity that says it is shipping humanitarian aid to Gaza, according to flyers. In a since-deleted Facebook post in October 2023, Rahma Worldwide President Shadi Zaza revealed his charity was collaborating on an aid initiative with the Islamic Heritage Revival Society of Kuwait, a terrorist group sanctioned by the U.S. government of funding Al-Qaeda. News of the world.
So he's anti-Semitic, supporting terrorist groups, providing funding to groups that fund terrorist groups, and oh, by the way, he also happens to be a Chi-Com. Sounds like a upstanding Democrat to me.
Wait, are you telling me he's supporting an organization that he went to war with and fought with and carried a machine gun with? Oh, wait, that's right. He never did any of that. I'm sorry, Craig. I apologize. No,
he never did any of that. Anyway, who did not? These folks clearly either they did not do their homework when they picked this guy, or they honestly thought that all of this was a-okay.
Well, I mean, think about it, Craig. The side effect of this is of him being such a horrible candidate, and having so many things wrong with him is we're not focusing all of our time on Kamala now.
True. Exactly. He is an interesting distraction, to say the least. But eventually, Mike, think about this, though. It's been 30 days since she became the de facto nominee. And she still hasn't done any interviews. And we saw she's only answered 2 questions from the media. One was, when will you do an interview? She said, sometime by the end of the month. And then we just saw when she was asked, how are you going to pay for all this stuff? She did the ubbada.
Well, you got her response, right? You got step 1. I'm going to give you a newborn tax credit. That's $6,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
Step 2 and step 3, your property values go up.
There you go. See, simple, isn't it?
Yeah.
More like simple-minded.
Did you catch the guy in the background doing this? That's right.
Yep.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
That's how it works. That's the way it works right there.
He reminds me of the guy when, like, you'll see like police doing this, right? Like when you got the cops, 3 or 4, jumping on a guy to get him under control.
Right.
There's always one cop standing there going, "Sir, stop resisting. Sir, stop resisting." You know, he just wants the crowd to hear that they're saying it. You know,
right. I half expected you to just go, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, and finally, I came across this map, and I only wanted to share it because I found it kind of interesting. And this is a map of where immigrants pay taxes. Now, the interesting thing is this is neither a argument for or against immigration, because first of all, it doesn't distinguish in this map between illegal immigrants and legal immigrants. But if you wanted to know why certain states advocate for open borders or open increase, well, here's probably one of the reasons why. So this map is done over there at Newsweek. Pretty much shows you every state, how much every state pays, how much immigrants pay in every state in federal taxes or in state taxes. And obviously, the darker the color, the more money they pay. Guess which state that is in the deep, deep, deep blue?
Deep blue. Yes. Yeah, and let's point out there a couple of things, Craig, that 2 of the states there, Texas and Florida, that is referring to legal immigrants paying taxes.
Well, and it's larger because of population. I mean, let's just be real. The only reason they register there is because this is not based on percentage of tax dollars. This is based on sheer dollars, is what this map is.
Well, again, you have a large legal population in Florida and in Texas.
Well, and you've got a large legal population in California. What's happening with the legal population in California? A lot of these are immigrants who have basically are here they're actually here on visas, and they're working in the tech industry. They're working in the healthcare industry. They're working in basically they have very high paying jobs. These are not the illegal immigrants mostly that we're talking about here. These are legal immigrants. And which then raises the question, why is California not doing a good enough job of training its citizens so that they can have those jobs instead of them having to work at fast food where you wind up increasing the minimum wage to $20 so they can support a family? Why are we not educating our population better so that they can go after those nursing jobs? They can go after those tech jobs.
Well, I mean, let's be realist now, right? You could train anybody to do public service jobs, right? Whether it be on the government side or on the civilian side, public service jobs. When you start talking about getting into high-level tech jobs and being doctors and scientists. That's not happening with the class at the city college at night, Greg.
Well, but a lot of these tech jobs do not require college degrees. A lot of them are, you can go to the community college and get the certification that you need in order to be able to do the job. You can go. The problem is that we have people graduating from school in California that can barely read, write, or do math, but they're getting high school diplomas.
Because each school gets money from the state when somebody graduates, Craig.
Yeah. Anyway, it goes to show you that, when people say, part of what I wanted to show here is when people say that people are coming here and they're taking jobs that Americans won't do. No, these are jobs that Americans would do if we were doing a better job, in particular in California, of actually preparing them to do those jobs. Instead of teaching them diversity, equity, and inclusion, instead of teaching them that Heather has two mommies, how about we teach them to read, write, and do math?
There you go. The 3 R's: reading, writing, arithmetic.
Yeah. It ain't that hard. At least I didn't think it was that hard. I figured it out. Shoot, if I figured it out, I'm pretty sure other people can figure it out.
You do make a point there, yeah.
All right, folks. Well, hey, that's going to bring us to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com, use discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, and get your hog holster today. As I noted, Kamala Harris has introduced her plan, her economic plan, and according to our friends over at the Babylon Bee, fake news you can count on. Economic platform, quote, "We must seize the means of production and execute the bourgeoisie." Gosh, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, right. It's.
By the
It's
way,
like
you notice, so the whole idea of a tax credit, obviously cutting taxes is not something that Democrats support. So Kamala Harris actually had to tie her child tax credit to another popular Democratic policy. And once again, according to our friends over at the Babylon Bee, Kamala proposes 6K aborted baby tax credit.
Wow, that's gonna make some people some millionaires right there.
That's gonna make some people some millionaires. There you go. Planned Parenthood.
Yep.
Cha-ching. And then finally, now that it's time to pass the baton, Biden briefly released from captivity to campaign for Kamala.
Yeah, very true. Look, he's doing the robot dance.
He is doing the robot dance. All right, folks. Well, we're just about to the end of the program, but before we go, we got to do what we do, and that is, once again, give it a quick shout out to our sponsors.
Yeah, let's say good friends, Hitman Industries. Say hello to them. Hitmanindustries.net. If you got that AR, probably got a barrel from them, and you don't even know it. Well, now you can get another barrel. Your next AR project or your rebarrel your current AR platform. That's hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly fighting the good fight behind enemy lines. Now you can take part in California's future today. And again, if you want the best in field gear, tactical gear, web gear, whatever it may be, you get everything except the gun at uscombatgear.com.
That's right, folks. Once again, please take a moment, visit our sponsors. All you got to do is follow the links in the description to this program, and you'll go to their websites, and make sure you tell them it was the guys over at The Rundown that sent you. And with that, we're going to call it a day. We very much appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program and encouraging your friends to do the same. We'll be back tomorrow on Taco Tuesday. Till then, have fun, stay safe, and if you get a chance, remember to send a few downrange. We'll holler at you later.